Yes, it is in progress. Let's go dive deep into today. So, master your emotion and find your truth. And today is a number 43. I know it's number 43. I had a long, long break because I was start working with myself. That was my priority. But now I came back. So 43, like angelic numbers, is an amazing number because I can tell you why. And the 43 is like a 4 is a number, foundation number is a solid number, and the 3 is the number of the creation. So like always, we've been talking about the pushing and actually I was talking about the pushing and forcing. But you can sometimes request it, what is really yours from your angels and spirit, and not pleasing them all the time because they're not really listening. I've learned that lesson from my one spiritual event. The one beautiful lady, and she was talking about the soul, and she told me, Gabriela, you need to learn a lot around the spirit. You need to tell them, you need to request it. I said, okay, I'm going to do that. So if anyone is watching us, would you like to go and search that angelic numbers? That's really, really profound, at the synchronicity. Sorry, I'm freezing all the time. Okay, let me just, I'm not moving very, very fast. Okay, so let's go introduce the very beautiful soul. I had this beautiful guest last year. And yes, that's beautiful, Frank Joseph. So welcome warmly. Would you like to say a little bit about yourself this time instead of me introducing you? Are you there? Hello? I couldn't hear you. Unmute yourself. Unmute yourself.
Okay, I'm here. We froze a little bit, and I think we're back.
Yes,
We
it's
glitched
okay.
the matrix, but now we're back to life.
Yes.
Back to reality. Back from
Let's
the
go
future.
diving. Yeah, so would you mind just when you introduce yourself a little bit to my audience? What are you doing? What kind of the role are you playing in this lifetime?
Yes, wow, what a unique lifetime it is. And wow, well, when I was 18 years old, I had a spiritual awakening. But at that time, I didn't know what spirituality was. I didn't even know what motivational speaking was. I didn't know a lot about the world. I grew up in a small town in New Jersey, in America, and it was a very challenging and difficult upbringing. But I got a job in a nursing home when I was 18. I started witnessing people on their deathbed and had this unique awareness that initially brought anxiety and depression and lots of confusion. And I was hypersensitive and intuitive, and I had no context for this. No friends, no peers, no family members had any context. And something unique happened inside of my heart that had this profound calling into this unknown direction. I think what I seen was a lot of unhappy, stressful people that had no true understanding of what life on earth and being a human being was really about. And I was hyper analyzing questions about, like, the real questions that some people never ask themselves, and some people get to that moment in life and they finally ask themselves, who am I?
Yeah.
What is this about? What's actually going on here? That happened immediately after my high school. We call it high school in America. And it was just like me out in the world, boom, questions hit, hypersensitivity, and this feeling in my heart that there was something more. And there was a old man at the time, his name was Charlie, in this nursing home that I was working, that really impacted my life. And it touched me so much, the kindness of other human beings that were outside of my friends and family at the time. So this love for humanity really began to grow in my heart. And I set out on this unknown quest that I'm going to grow and I'm going to give. And that was it. And it led me all around the world in the most profound, rare circumstances. I mean, initially, as I found my education and I found my skill set, traveling the world, got mentors, it was like I began motivational speaking, doing retreats around the world on emotional intelligence and healing. And I was in this phase of spiritual entrepreneurship from the very beginning. Now it's an established, market for this, but this was like the very beginning. And I was on that wave of doing these retreats and working with clients and training with the best in the world with psychology and alternative approaches to our well-being and personal development. But then it went deeper. Really unique experiences started happening to me. Really unique interactions started happening to me that I had no context for other than a profound, deep perception of otherworldly phenomena. And I began to expand my awareness, and it led me to geographical locations that are rooted in the ancient world, where I went through series of initiations and received gnosis, which is a form of wisdom, of energy medicine, and amongst other types of wisdom. And, as I grew, I was sharing my wisdom and my teachings, and I continued to travel and I continued to went deeper. And for me, it was like I was on the path of true wisdom and liberation. And it led me to a phase of, I would say, the underworld and the dark night of the soul. Even after I've achieved success and stability, I went back down for a period of 6 to 7 years. And I call those my wisdom years, where all of these other kind of soul opening experiences happened. And then from that, I was able to realign and almost bring, like we're going to talk about today, this soul certainty, this essence, and this authenticity from the core of my being, without any doubt, and with true conviction of why I'm here, who I am, and what I'm here to do in this lifetime. And then now it is materializing in this extraordinary long-term vision that is brilliant. And the first part of this vision is the brand that I'm currently launching, and it's materializing before my eyes now, literally materializing. And so it's been a long journey, and it's been extremely difficult. And I've been saying that, it's been so difficult, but because of the difficulty, there was the opportunity for wisdom. And with wisdom now, life is a true blessing. Because now I feel aligned with my soul. I have context of what that feels like and what that is, and I'm in it. So I'm extremely blessed to have
That's
come.
so nice.
Sorry. Yes, thank you.
No, it's okay. It's okay. That's so amazing because we would like to talk, like we just only spoke a little before, around the soul truth and mind truth. So you've been touched a little bit around the soul because you've been just only seeking that wisdom and that knowledge and that information, just only take it and just only show me the way and show me who I am truly. So can you tell a little bit, because sometimes the people, when they're in the awakening process, when they're in the dark nights of the soul, they don't know really what they going through. So if you would like to just only describe in a few words, how is that looks like to just only bring that true self on the table?
Wow. We all have a glimpse of this, and I mean it when I say it, but I know it's hard to comprehend. It's like this awareness of your essence in existence of being. So there's a unique essence, like your frequency. And so there's a moment when we're between the thoughts, between the routines, those little glimpses of the day where you're aware of yourself, that in the world of the ego and the mind that is over exercised, it's very frightening to be in that stillness and that awareness of self, because it's space. But that's exactly what I am. That's what you are, metaphorically speaking. This is what is. And when you heal and purify and build energetic integrity within your being, the awareness, which is also to speak of mind, because it is the full initiatory process to integrate mind, core, heart, voice as one, mind, body, soul in its totality. There's like obviously subcategories, not just mind, body, soul, but there's heart, there's your lower centers, there's your brain, your different faculties of the brain. So there's an integrity that happens as your awareness and spirit grows. But it's like awareness that I am, and you're fully at peace in the space. And when the thoughts come, you have full ability to have discernment on those thoughts. So you're not unfamiliar with your mind, where it's random and there's just a bunch of voices, different parts of yourself. You're not separated. You're aware of what is there, and you can assess it and find what it means, and you can work with your mind as a sovereign being. But I think when we talk about soul truth, it is the being in your essence. And when that space of those little glimpses grow, when you're sitting in stillness in the being, like sure, there'll be a thought here and a thought there and thought, but there's this like frequency of your being just like pulsating, radiating out. And there's just like this feeling that this is what I am, but there's nothing to grab onto because it's first person, like here. So it's not like you can grab onto these qualities of your being, but there is a pulse and there's a specific frequency to that pulse. And so that's what I feel when we talk about soul truth.
Yes, for sure. Yeah, I would like to say, yeah, because we are so attached to the body, we are so attached to the mind, and we're so attached to the different things, like a material worlds, because we are just only being conditioned in that way. Anyway, so I remember myself during the meditation when I found myself really, really in the space. I said, oh my goodness, where I am. I couldn't see myself. Actually, I couldn't see my physical self. Oh, where's that? So what I would like to say for the people who are watching us, definitely you need to dive deep in, really commit to yourself, and just only choose yourself first to unravel and discover who you truly are. It's not like overnight work. It's like a long process. It's a long process, I would like to say. It's not happening like that because we need to really, really be ready for that. Are you agree with me? Is it frozen or it's not frozen?
Oh, we're good. We're good.
Okay, good. Because I was thinking I was frozen. And how about the truth of the mind?
Wow. Truth of the mind. Well, you're right. You have to be ready for this, and it's a process of evolution and growing. But what other process are we truly on? This is like what's happening, whether we're aware of it or not. We are evolving. And I think for some reason in this realm of existence as human beings, we habitually are interfering with the evolutionary process. But this is the evolutionary process to restore balance within our own being. Not to mention, well, to mention that for whatever reason in the history of of humanity in the last couple of thousand years, we have not only been interfering, we're not only interfering with ourselves in the evolutionary pulse, but there seems to be the whole infrastructure and leadership of the societies are completely interfering with our evolutionary process as organic souls inside human beings. And so that's what's really bizarre. So it's an extraordinary opportunity we have here, but essentially in our nature, we are evolving. There is an evolutionary pulse inside of us that will restore balance, which is basically we're all coming back into an equilibrium of wholeness. And you can quantify that in the microcosm and the macro. And the micro is like your mind, body, and soul is one. What you think, what you speak, what you do, what you feel is one. That's the equilibrium of us as human beings. That's the balance. And from there, there's an extraordinary evolutionary process of an advanced planet that we have potential to be here in the most beautiful, exquisite way. The first is to restore the balance. And that happens. So when we talk about mind, it's interesting. It's an interesting inquiry around mind, because you go on so many different threads to understand what mind is. And there's many layers of mind. And in the initial part of a soul that is healing, or a human being that's healing, their mind is completely dysfunctional and it's reactive. Even if they're competent, organized human beings, it has nothing to do with the personal. It's because of the society, the families, all of the conditioning. It has triggered this overstimulated fight and flight reactive nature of the mind, which is like the lower kind of survival mechanism of the mind that's overactive in the general humans. So the mind is an absolutely dynamic, multi-layered process of discovery. So the first part of it is actually to go beyond the mind. And the key is to actually begin to develop the intelligence of the heart. This was my path. And this has led me to so much rapid growth, is that I began to focus on my heart and develop the electromagnetic field around the heart, because the heart also has neurites, cells of memory in the heart. It has a stronger electromagnetic field than the brain. And there's a lot of qualities of the heart that are truly profound, and I believe connected to the core of us, that can also restore balance and create regenerative cells and all kinds of things. So I started focusing on my heart and developing my heart by bringing love and care and energy and these kinds of things into my heart, and building my heart center and making my mind, my inner mind, my heart. So I've guided that. That's how I was able to really have context with my dysfunctional reactive mind. I was able to still have an inner guidance, because I would vocalize through affirmation and incantation, using my body and will and mind and passion to like speak that I am listening to my heart. Heart, guide me. I love you, heart. I'm here, heart. I would develop this energy around my heart so that I had emotional intelligence about what was right and wrong. And for me, for my soul, for my evolution, and made that the most important thing. So through all the manipulation and reactivity and the unknown that was coming at me, I had emotional context and intelligence, not just emotional, but more so like intuition through my heart center. Mm-hmm. So my heart is, so I unified my mind, my brain and my heart. I've done a lot of work, and I think that's standard. Again, wholeness, unifying. And it's as simple as like literally doing it, like breathing together, speaking to your heart, putting your hand on your heart, bringing energy to your heart. I'm always listening to my heart and my body. There's always awareness of what's happening in my heart chakra in every conversation, in everything I'm doing, I never neglect my heart. That's the first step. So if we're going to talk about mind, it's important. It's because how else would you have context over this very sensitive, antenna-like data processor and creative channeler? There's a lot of faculties. How else would it have a foundation? And I do believe it comes from the heart center, which is the seat of the soul. So if you want to have a great mind that's steady in truth, you must have the foundation of the heart. I always say, like, the mind is the king and the heart is the queen. And the queen is always running the kingdom, you know, it's her womb, it's her power that's boom. So that's the balance that I'm speaking of. That's the unification that all of us are coming to, whether we realize it or not, or put it in this language or not. That's really what's happening, a wholeness. And it starts with the center of the heart. When you have that, you have context of what's truth. Then you have discernment of what's my thought, what's not my thought. Who else are you going to ask? You know, this world is full of manipulation. So you have to literally go to your heart. Is this true? Is this, you know, and that's how you start to develop discernment. And that's also how you develop awareness, because as you build the electromagnetic field around the heart, your awareness grows with that expansion of that electrical spasticity. It's like your etheric body, your subtle bodies become more defined, more consolidated. They have more integrity. Like if you see like a holy person, like a very saint that's been praying and meditating their whole life, you'll see their energy is very integrous. They're not leaking any energy. They're solid. It's their subtle bodies are refined. So as you build that electrical energy around the heart, your awareness grows with that expansion of that energy. So then you start to develop the awareness of the mind, your soul, your awareness, like the real witnesser begins to like breathe and see and have discernment and context about what is right and what is wrong, because there's some kind of, and this is my spiritual inquiry, is that in each heart chakra and in each blueprint of a soul, that frequency, that fractal, there is a blueprint. There's like a little map. There's some kind of evolutionary pulse that if you are aligned, because we do know that the earth is vibrating at 528 hertz, which is the same vibration of the heart. So I feel like it's a very natural connection when, if we're in a heart-centered place, then we're aligned to natural evolution. So just like each plant has a blueprint to it, I believe each soul has a blueprint that's actually beyond the ancestral blueprint. It's not necessarily the genealogy blueprint. Like it's a soul frequency. Yeah. So that's the context. And I'm going to get to the mind. I know I said last
That's
bit
a lot of
here.
information just when you grasp, but yeah, look at you carry on.
A lot. Yeah, it's a lot of information. But it's the truth. I mean, if you go deep enough, you will realize these things. And I think it's really profound. And the listeners will hear it at their different level of understanding. And that's okay. But when we're aligned with our awareness and our will to what we feel true in our heart, that's called truthfulness. That's being. And that's awareness. And from there, we have discernment of the mind, because the mind is very difficult. You said mind truth. The truth is the mind is a very highly intelligent supercomputer, and it has its principles, and it can very much create its own identities and personalities and this, and contradict itself and malfunction itself. It's absolutely so. Who's controlling this spaceship that we call mind? right? What is the real mind, right? But that mind, this brain, is a supercomputer, and it can contradict itself. So this is why I'm saying that where are we going to find any basis of truth? It has to be with the soul, and it has to be through the heart center, and it has to be developing awareness that's based in truthfulness of being, which is in the blueprint of the frequency of who you are and the context of your awareness of why you're actually in the materialization of your soul in this physical body right now. It's that deep because it's true. We're here in existence, and we have this ability with a mind. But do you see how, like I was mentioning, for the last couple of thousand years, it has shown that there's some kind of infrastructure around humanity that's taking their mind power and directing it. And only sovereigns get their power back. But you have to earn that power back. It's a very difficult thing to deal with. Obviously, if a great leader will give environments and infrastructures for souls to evolve, like you would do for a child, that's called benevolence. It's not, anyway, that's another conversation. But all of us have to develop the awareness, so we have discernment of the truthfulness of who we are and why we're here, and then begin to, I call this a crystallization process. And it's you go so deep, you start to heal, you start to discover the true essence of your being, and there's going to be things that are undeniable, that for some reason they just make sense to you. It's just like you just love water, or whatever, or you just need to speak, or I just need to be around and I think that's really important. And it's just like you discover yourself, and then you literally start to crystallize with the intelligence of mind truth. The truth of the mind is the mind will give you everything and literally materialize everything that your awareness is able to conceive of. But it's like, how deep and how wise are you truly here in being? And where are you materializing from? Because a lot of people, they get tricked to sell themselves out, and they create this castle around their mind because it's a structure. We are all responsible to break the structures of the conditioning around the mind, and then to restructure it with the wisdom of our truthfulness of our soul. And when we restructure and crystallize our mind, it's literally shaping it from your will and from the truthfulness of your being. And that's where it links. It's like there's integrity. There's integrity. The mind truth is that it's a supercomputer. You cannot separate the mind from the heart and from God and from the truthfulness of your soul. And I think that's where people have fallen from grace. They began to take authority over their mind and separate from their heart. And that's what created karma and shadow. And that's what we're seeing manifest in the world of the past.